most people have opinions. Some people don't care, but that in itself is an opinion because they don't care unless it affects them. The ego, when the ego feels threatened, it needs to share its opinion. So you see this all the time online. At the moment, there's a war happening. There is a lot of opinions on, like one person will say, this is happening because this particular country wants to take over the Middle East. And someone else will say, no, that's not what it is. Someone else, they want the oil. And someone else says, no, that's not what it is. They're diverting from the Epstein files. No, that's not what it is. It's this, it's that. Everybody has an opinion. Same with Jim Carrey, just recently appears. There's opinions. That wasn't him. And someone else says, no, that was him. You can ask him. He said it was him. No, that was somebody else in a mask. When someone states their opinion in their ego, it is right because it is their belief. So if you do something and it works for you, it turns out that you tried something and it worked for you. That becomes your belief. That's your opinion, that's the truth because it worked for you. And someone else can try exactly the same thing that you tried and it doesn't work for them. So then their belief becomes, that's not the truth because it didn't work for me. It's just, see, we get so caught up in this ego because the ego just has to be right. How many times have you argued with somebody because your ego needs to be right? Like you just have to be right. You're not even hearing what somebody else is saying because you're so caught up in my ego is right. And you see that everywhere with comments. And then when you find other people that believe the same as you, they have the same opinion as you, that cements in your ego that you must be right because there's other people out there that believe the same as you. But then when someone has a differing opinion to you, what happens to your ego? What does your ego do? What does the ego do in the mind that's trying to comfort the self? So if you've had a disagreement with somebody or somebody's triggered you, you've seen something and it triggered something in you, what the ego will try to do is come up with this little story in the mind that says, no, I was in the right, they were in the wrong. And the ego tries to soothe. It tries to soothe the self. So there'll be little going over conversations that happened, repeating conversations and saying, well, when I said those mean words, I didn't intend them to be mean. So I'm not actually really a mean person, but they might have perceived that that's how it came across. And there's just this overthinking goes on because it's trying to find some way to soothe the ego, because the ego doesn't like to feel unheard, misheard, rejected, abandoned, those difficult feelings. The ego doesn't like that. The ego likes the grandiose, the niceness, that I'm a good person, trying to convince yourself of something that you may not always be. It's like the ego finds it really, really hard to see flaws in the self. So there's going to be these differences of opinions, but in anything, like political parties, they divide because they have a difference of opinion. In a workplace, you may have somebody that sits in an office and 2,000 kilometres away is where the work is being done by the workers, and someone in an office decides, I'm going to come up with this new protocol or this new theory that they're going to have to follow because I need to justify the job that I'm doing. So I'll come up with this new policy, I'll put it out there, and then all these workers have to follow this new policy, and it's just made double time for them. It's made more effort for them. And they're going to have a difference of opinion because this person in the office has never ever been out there and never seen what's going on. So our opinions come from our lived experience. How could you possibly know or believe something if you never experienced it? It's new to you. It's new ground. Your ego is not familiar with it. if I found a cure for myself, that doesn't mean it's going to cure somebody else. That's why you see thousands and thousands of people on social media giving you different health theories. One person says, don't take this. Another person says, do take this. How could it work for absolutely everybody? We're not all the same. So this world, how does it ever change when we are constantly divided? How does it ever change when, if you can't change an opinion or you can't understand the opinion of somebody else? And over life, your opinions can change because your circumstances change. I've seen people that have said they've never had children that said, when I have kids, I'm going to bring them up this particular way, right? I'm going to do this, this, and this with their kids. When they finally had children, that went out the window because their kids ruled the roost and they couldn't implement those plans. I've seen people say, I'm never going to get married. Marriage is not for me. And then they find somebody, fall in love, and they get married. Even myself, I changed my opinions so much on how I saw spirit to when I actually went through a death. I died, left my body and went there and came back. And I thought, so everything that I thought before was an opinion based on what was taught to me and what I had experienced. But then going through the experience myself of actually being there, I came back with a whole different opinion. So the more you can change opinions and just listen to other people, you don't have to agree with everybody. But you also, why do you have to, I like to sit there now and go, am I going to reply to that? Or is that my ego needing to be right? Just thinking, is it just my ego that needs to be right? And that sentence, thinking that, quite often stops me from having to say anything at all.